Dear students, this is Anu. Welcome to yet another online tutorial on principles of communication system. Dear students, this is Anu. Welcome to yet another online tutorial on principles of communication system. So we are in fourth module, and in last video we have seen about pulse amplitude modulation. Right. So in what we have done in pulse amplitude modulation video part one is right, we have just derived the spectral expression for the PAM signal, right? It was a spectral expression, right? And I told in this video we'll be seeing how to visualize the spectrum, right? And by visualizing the spectrum, we'll try to obtain an idea how we can reconstruct original signal from PAM signal. And in doing so, in actually PAM transmission, we have a problem, right? There will be a distortion because we are using flat top samples for transmission, right? Transmission of the samples, flat top pulses for transmission of the samples. That is aperture effect. We'll see what is aperture effect, right? And also we'll see how we can eliminate the aperture effect using an equalizer. So that's what we'll be seeing in this particular video. And in next video, I'll be discussing about TDM and PPM. I'll try to keep these videos short, and so that it will actually what help you to prepare for this third internal. You'll be assessed in third internal for these topics, right? So the topics which I'll be covering till the next video also will be there in third internal. So please do keep that in mind. So before I move ahead and discuss about this visualization, I'm sure, right, if I straight away discuss this, most of you will be confused. So it's inevitable, right? I need to summarize, right, what we have learned in part one, right? Or what at least I should tell what are these parameters. FSS sampling frequency that should be greater than or equal to 2W, where W is the maximum frequency content in the message, right? And M of F will be the spectrum Fourier transform of M of T, that is spectrum of our original message signal, right? And this T sync ft e power minus j pi ft, it was actually transfer function of, or the Fourier transform of h of t. So maybe we should just recollect what are those things. So maybe I'll just we'll quickly summarize and then we'll come to this particular video, right? So what we have seen is, in order to obtain PAM signal, so to get PAM signal, suppose this is our message signal, this is our M of t, right? This is M of t, and its Fourier transformers, it will be something like this, right? So it's spans from minus W to W, right? So this is frequency. This is actually what, sorry, this is M of F and this is M of T, right? And this is zero time instant. This is zero frequency instance, right? Now, what we, if you want to pulse amplitude modulate it, right? So basically, how this pulse amplitude modulation works is, maybe I'll just try to mark the envelope of this particular signal here, so that it's not exactly the same, but okay, fine, right? So what pulse amplitude modulation is, initially we'll sample it, we'll take instantaneous sample and lengthen it for t seconds, right? And we'll take sample every ts seconds. At every sampling interval, we'll take samples and we'll lengthen it for a duration of capital T seconds. That's what is pulse amplitude modulation, right? And why I have drawn this is, these samples we are taking at every interval, 0 ts, 2 ts, 3 ts, and this will be minus ts and so on, right? So we represented this PAM signal as S of t, right? And the separation between adjacent pulses, or leading edges of adjacent pulses or trailing edges of adjacent pulses, is ts, that is our sampling interval, and capital T, which was there in our S of F expression, that is nothing but duration of the pulse. You're not supposed to confuse with this. And Fourier transform of this was what we have written, S of F is equal to Fs times summation n from minus infinity to infinity. Please excuse me, I may be using n and m interchangeably, right? It doesn't matter, right? All are fine, right? M of F minus nfs times T sync ft times e power minus j pi ft. So this is the Fourier. Just, if you should remember how we got this, and only we'll be able to what appreciate the remaining discussion, right? So how we got this? It's the how. So for that, you should know how we are the scheme of generation of PAM signal, right? So if you have m of t, this m of t should be initially instantaneously sampled, right? M of t should be initially instantaneously sampled. Then we'll be getting m delta of t, that is sample signal, right? That sample signal is passed through an LTI filter with impulse response h of t, right? And we are getting s of t, right? So this impulse response is nothing but what? It should be of this shape, 0 to t, it should be equal to 1, right? And elsewhere it should be 0. So we have written clearly this h of t is nothing but what? It should be equal to 1 from, sorry, 1 for 0 less than or less than t less than capital T, and it will be equal to half for t equal to 0 and t equal to capital T, and it will be 0 elsewhere. So we have written this, right? So, and many students were asking me like, what actually is this impulse response, right, of an LTI system? What does that mean, right? Why are we taking impulse response? Why are we taking its Fourier transform? So impulse response of an LTI system simply means, right, if you take a system and if you give an impulse as its input, right, its output will be this, right? It can how a system behaves with an impulse, it can define the characteristics of a system. So that's why we are interested in impulse response. So the detailed discussion of this, it's beyond scope of our syllabus, but for time instance you can keep this in mind. But when we are generating ppm signal, then again I'll be using this concept of impulse response, right? So please do keep that in mind. So this is our h of t, right? Now s of t will be nothing but what? M delta of t convolved with h of t, right? And in frequency domain, s of f will be equal to m delta of f multiplied with h of f. So we should know what is this m delta of f and h of f. And m delta of f, we already know, we have actually what discussed it many times, right? So m delta of f is nothing but what? The spectrum of a sample signal, right? Instantaneous sample signal. If that m delta of f is nothing but what? Fs into sigma n from minus infinity to infinity m of f minus n fs, where m of f is nothing but what? The spectrum of the original message signal. We have seen this spectrum is nothing but what? Spectrum of the original message signal shifted to every integer multiples of fs and scaled by an amount fs, right? So that's our m delta of f. We already know that, right? And that m delta of f, it will be something like this. It will look something like this. If this is m of f, right, this m of f will be scaled by fs, and it will be repeating every integer multiples of fs both on positive and negative axis. So this will be fs, this will be 2fs, this will be minus fs, right? So this will be minus fs plus w, this will be fs minus w, fs plus w. You should be aware of all these things, right? Then only you will be able to what? Appreciate. If you understand these things, then the remaining part what I'm going to discuss is going to be very easy, right? So these basic ideas should be very clear. So this is our m delta of f. In fact, I have shown a waveform, like a series of wave spectrums in at the beginning of this video. One of this was nothing but what? M delta of f, right? Okay. Then now we should know what is h of f. So h of f is nothing but what? Fourier transform of this this impulse response, right? This h of t, right? This was a Fourier transform of this. This I told this is nothing but what? A typical rectangular function, rect of t by t shifted right by an amount t by 2, right? So this I can represent it as rect of, right? Normally we should write rect of t by t, right? Now that is actually what? Shifted right by an amount capital T by 2. So I should, instead of t, I should write t minus t by 2, or we can we can write it as t by t minus 1 by 2. That also would be fine. So this is our h of t, this is our h of t, and spectrum of this will be nothing but what? Spectrum of rect of t by t, uh, time shifted spectrum of rect of t by t, right? Or that is actually what? Time shift in a time domain will become multiplication with e power j 2 pi fct, e phase shift in frequency domain, right? So this will be this h of f we have seen it will be equal to t sinc of ft times e power minus j pi f t. So this is h of f, right? And we have even plotted. So you should know how to plot this h of f, t sinc of t, this function if I'm plotting, right? So it will actually decay as it tends to plus or minus infinity, right? So this will be zero, its maxima will be at zero, and at 1 by t, 2 by t, 3 by t, and also on minus 1 by t, minus 2 by t, so on and so forth, it will, right, it will actually pass through zero. And in if you are representing it as a function of f, I can't actually show the contribution of this. So normally a Fourier transform or a spectrum of a signal, we won't draw it as such, right? So this spectrum will be a complex quantity. A complex quantity means it will have a magnitude and a phase, right? So this, if you are writing it in polar form, this is r is nothing but its magnitude, and phase or argument of this is actually whatever is coming along with e power j, right? That is actually the phase, right? So now in the further discussion, right, they have they have in textbook they have shown only the magnitude response, right? Only magnitude response. So if you take magnitude and response of m del of f, it will be almost similar, right? Why? Because we don't have any phase component, right? And we don't have any negative part. So right, it will be almost similar. But how to find magnitude response of this? When you find magnitude, right, it's mode of it. So this r, so what is actually magnitude of this? It is t sinc of 50. T sinc of 50 is like this. It has positive and negative parts. But when you are considering magnitude, we will not consider the negative parts, right? So the magnitude response of this, it will be like this, right? Magnitude response, it will be like this. It won't have any negative part, so it is zero. So I'll write it as mode of h of f, right? So please be please try to appreciate this, right? This is 1 by t, 2 by t, right, minus 1 by t, so on. So this is a magnitude response. Now the question is, what is the phase response? Even though we are not interested in phase response, but many students were asking me doubt, right? We are like about this Fourier transform, they have some doubts, right? So maybe because of that, I'll just discuss this. So in this case, what is, right, that e power j, whatever is coming along with e power j, it's actually minus pi ft. So in this case, argument of h of f or angle of h of f, whatever it is, nothing but minus pi ft. You can see it in turn as a function of f, right? So let's see what happens when, right, we should plot this phase also as a function of f. So if you're plotting this phase as a function of f, that will become actually phase response. If you're plotting magnitude alone as a function of f, that becomes actually magnitude response or amplitude response. So please do keep that in mind. Right. So let us just examine what will happen when f is equal to 0. What will be the value of this theta, right? Maybe I'll write it as theta. Or what will happen to it when f is equal to 0? When f is equal to 0, theta will be equal to 0. Right. What will happen to it when f is equal to, say, 1 by t? Right. When f is equal to plus 1 by t, theta will be equal to minus pi. And what will happen to it when f is equal to minus 1 by t? When f is equal to minus 1 by t, we know theta will be equal to plus pi. So what we can do is, with that idea, we can draw that. So we have seen when f is equal to, so maybe I should draw the negative angle also. Excuse me. So now along y-axis we'll have argument of, say, h of f or angle of h of f, right? And along x-axis we have frequency, right? Suppose this is plus pi and this is minus pi, right? And we have seen for f is equal to 0, theta is equal to 0, fine. And for f is equal to plus 1 by t, theta equal to minus pi. So I should mark it here. And for f is equal to minus 1 by t, theta is equal to plus pi. So f is equal to minus 1 by t, theta is equal to plus pi. So what I should do is, right, and you can see it is a linear function of f. So it will linearly increase. If I join these 2 points, right, I'll get the magnitude response. And you can see this function, right, sine, magnitude of sine will repeat, right, magnitude of sine, it will repeat every 180 degree interval, right? It will repeat magnitude, right? So what we can do is, remaining parts we can draw as such. So this is actually what minus 1 by t. This is plus 1 by t, right? Similarly, it will repeat. Same pattern will repeat. Same pattern will repeat. Every 1 by t, same. So this is actually what 2 by t. This is 3 by t. If you observe, you can see every odd multiples of yeah. So maybe I'm not making comments on this, as this is exactly not much important to us, as this is beyond the scope of our syllabus detailed discussion, right? So please do keep this in mind. Please appreciate this. These are not actually what rocket science, right? It's simple, right? If you know the concept of complex number, then you should be able to appreciate the concepts of magnitude and phase response. So this is phase response. So we have, right? So okay, fine. So we are interested in this, right? Magnitude response, right? Magnitude response of h of f. These things, right? We got. So now we know it's right. S of f is nothing but what, or if it is mode of s of f, will be mode of m delta of f times mode of h of f. So we can simply multiply those. We can simply multiply those. So I'll just write mode of m delta of f will be nothing but what, fs into summation n from minus infinity to infinity m of f minus nfs, right? As it is a real part, we'll consider this only as mode. Maybe mode of this, if there is a negative, that will become positive. That's it, right? Times mode of h of f is nothing but what, t sinc ft, right? That's it. That exponential part we don't have to consider, right? This will be our mode of s of f. This will be our mode of s of f, right? So this is what we are going to show in the next like a diagram, which I'm going to display, right? um, so here, right, we are going to visualize what is this s of f, right? So the first one is mode of m of f. But what you have to keep in mind is we have it, this diagram. It's not showing actually what it. This is sample diagram. It's not this like w, or maximum frequency content of message, is normalized to 1, right? In this case, w is normalized to 1, right? When I say normalize, right, if I'm saying normalizing frequency, that frequency, if we divide it with some value, we can say that frequency is normalized with normalized to that particular value, right? So right, so this is our m delta of f, and this is our mode of h of f, right? So I've just shown this mode of h of f, right? Of course, what you have to keep in mind is this 1 by small t. Now 1 by capital T, 1 by capital T will be always greater than w, right? How that I'm leaving it to you. 1 by t, what is t? T is a pulse duration, w is the maximum frequency content of message, right? So 1 by t. So that's what they have shown here. This will be actually what, 1 by t, 1 by t, but it's normalized to some value, right? We don't have to bother that. But here they have shown, right, this 1 by t is always greater than w, right? Now what we have to do is s of f is, we have to s of f, mode of s of f is nothing but what, mode of m delta of f, right, multiplied with mode of h of f. That's what is done here. These two signals are multiplied, so you can see as there are gaps, nulls, right? So here one assumption is this fs is much greater compared to 2w. Fs is sampling frequency taken as actually what, well above the twice the maximum frequency content of message, right? So there will be spectral nulls between replicas of m of f, right? And this is, right, actually fs into m of f, but that fs again, that amplitude again, they have normalized with some value, right? So but this gives us the idea, right? So it's, these are normalized spectrums. You don't have to get confused with that, right? Amplitude again, they have normalized to the value 1, right? So now this will be, say, m of f, right? This will be m of f minus fc, right? This will be m of f plus fc, right? Please keep that in mind, and that is multiplied with h of f. So what we are getting here is, right, what s of f is nothing but what, that m delta of f times mode of h of f. This is what we are getting here, right? So, and you can see this part alone, if you consider this part alone, that is nothing but what is our m of f, right? So here I can, this region alone, I can tell it is nothing but what, M of f times h of f. Can I tell only this region? Right? Why? Because there are spectral nulls. Only this region is nothing but what? M of f into h of f, and this M of f is our spectrum of message signal. So now this is the spectrum of this entire thing is spectrum of PAM signal. So now why I told why we are why we have visualized its spectrum, so that if we visualize, we'll get an idea how to extract original signal from that. So from this you can see, right, this whatever this portion, say from minus w to plus w, right, that is nothing but what? M of f. Say this is minus w to plus w, that is nothing but what? M of f into h of f. So if you can extract this part alone, you will get M of f into h of f. But again, there is a problem here, right? We have multiplied this M of f with some function. It's not actually what? It's not like an ideal low pass characteristics, right? You can see, if you see the gain of this filter, if you see h of f as a filter, gain of this filter is maximum for f is equal to 0, and as frequency increases, its gain is reducing. So what is the problem with that? The problem is our message signal has different frequency components, starting from message f is equal to 0 to f is equal to w. So for f is equal to 0, the components with f is equal to 0, it will have a gain of 1, and other parts will be actually what? As per this, it will be attenuated, right? Other parts will be attenuated, other frequency contents will be attenuated. So what happens is, if the magnitude value changes, if you take inverse Fourier transform, it will result in a distortion, right? So in order to get back, in order to reconstruct, what we should do is, maybe I've left some space here so that I can draw the characteristics of this, right, filter, right? So this, I should use a filter, right, whose frequency response should be, right, it should not, right, all, it should not what to say, differentiate, or it should provide same gain that is equal to unity for all frequencies within the message signal. And after that, if there is a transition band, it won't be a problem, right? So maybe ideally, this is again actually what? A pre-aliasing filter normally, which we will use, right? So right, so this will be minus w to plus w, and what should be these values? Up to which value you can go there? So what if this is minus w, and what will be this value? It will be minus fs plus w, and this will be fs minus w, right? So this transition region or roll off can reach maximum up to actually what? Fs plus w and minus fs plus, sorry, fs minus w and minus fs plus w. So this should be a transfer function of a reconstruction filter, right? Reconstruction filter, right? So if you pass this through a reconstruction filter like this, we'll get h of f into M of f, right? But the problem here is, right, as h of f provides different gains for different frequencies, right? This, if you take inverse Fourier transform of h of f into M of f, it won't be equal to M of t. It will be actually what? Distorted M of t. So that distortion, that is actually called aperture effect. So basically, aperture effect, it has actually what? Two factors. One is it distorts the reconstructed signal, and second one is it provides an additional time delay of actually what? T by 2. That additional time delay is nothing but what? This actual spectrum, if you consider, actual spectrum is getting multiplied with, right, actual spectrum is getting multiplied with e power minus j pi ft, right? So this is equivalent to what? If you write it as e power j 2 pi f t by 2, so this is equivalent to a phase shift of t by 2 in time domain. This is equivalent to a phase shift of t by 2 in time domain. You can think through, right? So it provides a phase shift of t by 2. So this is these things are actually what? This is actually called aperture effect. So I have provided you a note on this reconstruction aperture effect. I'll make it available, right, so that you can prepare well for exams, right? And this is the same thing, I've taken it from a textbook, right? So now that is how, if that aperture effect is there, aperture effect will cause distortion, right? So now how to eliminate that aperture effect? This aperture effect is due to what? This factor h of f, right? Aperture effect is due to this factor h of f. So if you right, so for reconstruction, if s of t, you are passing it to a reconstruction filter, right? You're passing it to a reconstruction filter, right? then you are getting something. So if you can, I'll consider it in frequency domain, right? The spectrum S of f, after this reconstruction filter, it will become, say, h of f into m of f, right? Or mode of h of f into m of f, right? So what is additional here? This mode of h of f. So if I can design a filter, right, I'll call it actually what? Equalizer, right? I'll call it equalizer, right? If I cascade this reconstruction filter with an equalizer with transfer function, say maybe if I writing he of f is equal to 1 by, or mode of he of f, that should be the better way to write, right? Mode of 1 by mode of h of f, right? If you pass through this, what will happen? In frequency domain, the filter transfer functions will get multiplied. So mode of h of f into m of f times 1 by h of f. So that h of f will get cancelled. So what I'll get is at the output m of f. So this equalizer can eliminate the aperture effect, right? So now we'll see what actually is this he of f, right? This he of f or mode of he of f, that is 1 by h of f, right? So that is 1 by t sinc ft, right? And sinc ft, it is actually what? Sinc of x, it is nothing but what? Sine pi x by pi x. So if you write that, so it will be sine pi ft by pi ft. So in denominator t, sine pi ft by pi ft, that pi ft will come on top, and this t and t will get cancelled. So finally we will get the transfer function of this equalizer to be equal to pi f divided by sine pi ft, right? Pi f divided by sine pi ft. So this will be transfer function of equalizer. That is what is shown here. That is 1 by h of f, 1 by mode of h of f. That is that transfer function of how to plot this, right? How to plot it's not again a rocket science, right? So for f is equal to 0, what happens? This becomes 0 by 0, right? But when you apply limit, you will get it to be equal to what? Almost right, 0, right? It will be equal to 0. And for f is equal to 1, so it will be pi by, right, this will become 0. So at f is equal to 1, 2, 3, right, or integer multiples of actually what? Pi, right? When this argument is integer multiple of pi, this denominator will become 0, and at that time it will be not defined. That will go to actually what? Infinity, or it will be not defined, and otherwise we'll get a function like this, right? So that this is actually what ideally this should be the transfer function what we should get, but we can't realize it ideally. So what we'll do is, instead of that, we'll use a practical filter like which has a transfer function like this, right? So this is what we'll be doing. So that's it about this PAM part 2. So we have seen what is PAM, right? We have differentiated PAM and natural sampling, and we have, right, did some mathematical analysis and obtained the spectrum of PAM signal. You know how to plot PAM signal, right? And right, we know how to construct a PAM signal, right? And now we with the help of the spectrum, you can explain the reconstruction, aperture effect, and even generation of PAM with the help of. But this was asked many times, even in your model question paper. This question is there, right? So this will with this I'll just wind up this particular video, right? So in next video, I'll be discussing about TDM and about pulse position modulation. So that topics also will be there for your third internal test. I'll be sharing this particular note with you people so that you can use it along with this video, right? Thank you so much for watching, right? So I'll end this video now.